I don't believe, you know, there's an adage that any publicity is good publicity, and I don't think right now there are many companies who are giving their products to Charlie Sheen and Lindsay Lohan to walk around with. But, so I'm not sure if that's really exactly true. But we're talking about favorable publicity here. You would always want to use publicity. Why is publicity so important and so useful? What's the biggest benefit of publicity? Yes?
Exposure.
Exposure, but advertising is exposure. What differentiates it? Yes? It's free. It's free in the sense that the media doesn't have to be paid, although there's some money put into people writing press releases or making video clips for TV news stations. But there's another more important benefit of publicity that makes it much more valuable, potentially. What character is? Yes?
Credibility.
Credibility. Excellent. Because it comes from a third-party source. So it's one thing if Apple says, hey, our new iPad is really great. Well, what are they going to say? Of course it's great. They're going to say that. But if the LA Times writes a good review about it, that carries credibility and weight. So, publicity is always desired, but it's really only guaranteed in the introduction stage. Why is that? Why could you get it in introduction stage but not the other stages? Do I look smarter tonight? I've got my glasses. Because in the growth stage, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Did you have this? Go ahead. What did you?
I was just going to say, it's like the media wants to show like the new best thing, like one party or
Right. So in the introduction stage, a new to the world innovation is newsworthy. It's not. It's harder to get, say, look at, how are you going to get them to carry a story about an iPod Shuffle right now? No, it's not happening, right? But some new to the world Apple product will get publicity. So in the introduction stage, it's important to use publicity because you're going to have it available because it's newsworthy. Okay. Advertising is required to stimulate primary demand, and personal selling is needed to get it onto the shelves. So we're talking, by definition, a manufactured product when we talk channel numbers for the most part. So there's a necessity for as much as possible here. And into the growth stage, we still need personal selling, without question. In fact, for most products, personal selling is used throughout, but definitely in the growth stage. And then advertising in the growth stage, the purpose of it is to stimulate secondary demand for our brand, what makes us special, why we're the ones you should buy, right? Buy our brand. That kind of advertising in the growth stage. Okay, let's go to the next slide. The maturity stage, promotion hits its zenith, which is its highest point, meaning that competition expenditures are the highest here. And here, advertising serves more as a reminder. So we might still have some persuasive advertising, but for the most part, it's reminding us of Budweiser. I should have hyphenated that. That's supposed to refer to an old commercial campaign where they use frogs to say Budweiser. Just all it does is think of beer commercials. They're not trying to persuade you typically. Some Miller commercials do a little bit. But it's humor. It's just getting their name in front of you. Who else uses reminder advertising? Other examples? Miller Lite. Who else? Miller High Life, yeah. Miller High Life commercials. Nike. Act, did you say, or what did you? Ad sheet. The ad sheet. Okay. The ad sheet advertises. I don't know if it's a reminder. Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's a really good one, actually. The more I think of ad sheet, I hate that. But that's all it is, to annoy you. You just get a stupid jingle in your head. I don't know what it does. What else is like that? Yes, in the back there. What? McDonald's? Yeah. That's a great one. McDonald's. Da-da-da-da-da. Yes. Doritos. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm just spacing out for a second. Doritos. Okay. Yeah, Doritos. Doritos. Yes? Walmart. Okay? Walmart. You know, Walmart's a good example of one that does some persuasive advertising, but they do reminder advertising too, without question. What's a good reminder? Gatorade. Okay. What about fast food aside from McDonald's? Don't they all take advantage of the availability? So when you say that other companies besides McDonald's use it, why are you talking to somebody? I'm trying to talk to you. Yeah, you're texting. Yeah, I was trying to get your attention. So don't you think other fast food companies also do reminder advertising, like Taco Bell? Geico, Allstate, State Farm, insurance companies, Aflac, excellent. Fantastic example. Aflac, this stupid duck. What is it doing? Partly it's just reminding you about Aflac. Okay, so also some sales promotion to encourage switching. Sales promotion targets variety seekers, not people who are brand loyal. Variety seekers, people who might switch with a little discount or a sample or contest or something like that. And then decline, we don't spend much money on promotion at all because the writing's on the wall, the ship has sailed, whatever cliche you want, it's over. So that's why typewriter companies, and there are typewriter companies still marketing products, they don't spend anything on promotion because they are as good as they. Okay, let's move on. More product characteristics. Yes. The greater the technical complexity of a product, the more need there is for personal selling. Personal selling to help explain the technical details of a product or service. And then the other factor that also favors personal selling over advertising is the risk associated with the product. The greater the risk, the greater the need for personal selling. So the hair transplant was the only example I could think of that might have all three types of risk: physical risk, financial, social. But when you think about social risk, meaning at the retail level, somebody who sells clothing, a personal salesperson for clothing may be a lot more important than somebody who's selling a blender at Macy's because of the social risk associated with the clothing. In certain situations, other situations, there isn't social risk, but in some, there might be. So, what is the, can you think of any areas that have become less risky or less perceived to be less complex, and so there's a switch from personal selling to advertising? Can you think of any areas like that? Yes.
Hybrid or electric cars.
Hybrid or electric cars. You think there was an emphasis on personal selling? Now it's more mainstream. Okay, you're probably right. Believe it or not, automobile companies spend more on personal selling than they do in training and everything else and motivation than they do in advertising, which is interesting because they spend a lot in each area, obviously. But, okay, automobiles, good example. Or hybrid automobiles specifically. That's very good. Anything else? Well, I have a better frame of reference because of the number of centuries I've lived. I will tell you that computers and digital devices in general, even phones, have moved from more of a dependence on personal selling. Computers at first were only sold in stores by salespeople who could explain this crazy thing called a computer. And even if we look at cell phones, when they first started out, there was more emphasis at Sprint stores and Verizon stores and stuff, and now the selling is diffused to third-party operators. There's much more advertising, and because I think there's complexities seem to be reduced. Culturally, I think as an American society, we have accepted the notion of buying medicines to solve problems to the point where pharmaceutical sales are more dependent now on advertising than personal selling. It used to be all personal selling. Pharmaceutical reps would go call on doctors and there was no advertising. Now, they advertise. Right? Everything. So, okay. Let's go on to the next area. Or next slide. Okay, stages of the buying decision. Remember the adoption process. Where do impersonal sources of information have the greatest influence? Up front. So in the pre-purchase, when you're trying to get attention, advertising is used. Sales promotion to induce trial, which is very important because that converts an external information source to an internal one. So coupons to induce trial, samples are trial, very important. Then at the purchase stage, personal selling becomes more important to close the sale and to reassure, reduce perceived risk, that kind of thing. Post-purchase, sometimes advertising is used, like in the Honda commercials, they used to advertise, they make it simple, and it was kind of a reliability reminder to people who purchased Hondas, Honda Accords, and all different types of Hondas. But personal selling is typically used by automobile companies to smooth over cognitive dissonance in the post-purchase phase. So usually a salesperson will call or something like that the week after you buy a car and ask how's it going, and everything okay, you're just calling us if you need anything, that kind of thing. Okay. Moving on. Let's go to the channel strategy. Okay, now, one way to think about promotion, ultimately what we're going to do is we're going to connect product, price, place, promotion, an integrated mix of decisions. And here we want to think of distribution and promotion together. Certain products are pushed through the channel, where the emphasis is on personal selling, or sales promotion to motivate retailers or dealers or whatever. So in this case, the emphasis is on pushing the product through the pipeline. Personal selling. Right? Personal selling used to do that as well as sales promotion. So Pennzoil, for instance, they have race car drivers who do contests and special promotions with dealers to motivate them to sell more Pennzoil products, like auto parts dealers, stuff like that. And pull strategies, conversely, are used